are in Second Life with them. And we'll talk after, let me help you after with Second Life. Okay, I'll help you later on, or not later on, whenever you want. Okay, just let me know when you're available,
okay,
and we'll work together. I'll help you figure it out.
Now, can you please? You will see Ramesh Sharma, he, him. Oh, that.
Hold on, let me just share this.
Make me. I'm not able to unmute from the another. Hold on. I think you can get my audio.
Wait a minute. Live stream. Hold on.
Sure.
I'm just adding the live stream for everyone. Oh, that's Ramesh. Nearby Fiona. Okay, live stream. Here she's asking for it. And there it is. Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to be just fine.
Perhaps you may see. I think I'm Dr. Ramesh Sharma on this machine.
Okay, how's it going?
Can you give me the control for Dr. Ramesh Sharma?
You are co-host. Oh, you changed your machine.
Yeah,
right.
Then I can.
Right. Are you in twice? Yes, you are.
It's creating problem.
But you're in twice. You know that. It might echo. You're in twice as okay, let me withdraw. I'll withdraw one of them. Okay, yes. I fixed it.
Now I think it is okay.
Yep.
And
Ramesh Sharma, you're in three times. So who's the real Ramesh Sharma? All right, there we go. Okay, just make it larger and then I'll introduce you. All right, so we started a little bit late. That's okay.
Yes, perfectly all right.
Right, that's okay. Sorry, folks, for those that it's not okay with them. I apologize. All right, so let me get your bio. All right. So hello, everyone, and welcome to our second week. We started our second week actually yesterday. So this is week 2 of VWMOOC 22. My name is Nellie Deutsch, and I'm one of the organizers. Right now we're in Zoom, but we're also streaming on YouTube, and we're in Second Life, and those in Second Life are watching the stream. Our presenter is coming to us from India, an old friend. I'm sure many of you know him. He's been around virtual worlds since the very beginning. And we've been working together both face-to-face, I guess, and fully online for many years. He is Associate Professor of Instructional Design at DRBR Ambedkar University in New Delhi. He's an Open Education Resource Ambassador of the OER Foundation, Membership Chair of World Association of Online Education, Wawasan Open University Malaysia, Associate Professor of Educational Technology and Learning Resources, visiting professorship at a university in Brazil, a university in Guyana in South America, where they speak English. Visiting professorship, University of Fiji, Commonwealth of Learning Director of Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, expert of the Commonwealth Secretariat at the United Kingdom, and Director of Institute of Distance and Continuing Education at the University of Guyana. Indira Gandhi National Open University, IGNOU India Regional Director, and that's your current position, I believe. An ongoing lifelong learner and researcher, writer, friend, and someone who loves to share. All right, so thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Great to have you here as always.
Yes, always a pleasure. Okay, I think, can I start now then?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Nellie and my friends. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening, depending on from where. And I can see 2 of my good friends, Dr. Farie and Dr. Zehra from Cyprus and Dr. Anju from India. So nice to have all of you here. and let us begin. In this session, I want to discuss, we are talking about Metaverse, something. So how it is impacting and what is it in store for education. Now, why we say that it is the time to wake up? Because there are certain interesting things happening. And particularly like genome sequencing, it is 10 million times cheaper and 100,000 times higher quality than it was just a few years ago. Quantum computing is around the horizon, because Google has already proved that the normal supercomputer, which will take 10,000 or something years, we can do it in 200 seconds. So, and then IBM came and China says we are building quantum computers. So like that. Artificial intelligence is displacing erstwhile white-collar jobs, and particularly because it is predictive in nature, the things which can be repetitive, the AI can do all those things much better than we human beings, because there is no restriction of memory. There are no, for repetitive task of things, the element of error is minimized from there. The engineering education loans are now the non-performing assets of banks. So time to wake up. If you can only do what you have been taught how to do, then you are replaceable by a piece of software or by a robot if sensing and motion are also involved. So therefore, we have to become self-learner. Means like this is, let us join the, say, fifth education revolution. And this is quite interesting. You may find it. The figure on the left is Sir Anthony Sheldon. And he, in his book, The Fourth Education Revolution, says that only 3 education revolutions can be said to have occurred in the last 3 to 5 million years. The schools and universities today would be recognized by our forefathers as far as back in 1600 something. So what he said that the other 3 revolutions, the 4th revolution is influenced by AI and how the AI is changing the face of education from there. Most of these changes, they are coming with the 4th education revolution. Means like education 4.0 harnesses the latest technologies. And some of them are like blockchain, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, AI, machine learning, deep learning on the technology side. And on the pedagogical research side, there are cognitive sciences to enhance teaching, learning, and assessment. And then much of the focus is being paid on the neuroscience. Those things, they are very much being paid attention to currently. So that is going in that direction. Now, let us see how it is impacting the sustainable development goals. These were set up in 2015 by United Nations General Assembly and are intended to be achieved by 2030. And goal 4 is about education, which states that means promotes to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. But it is quite unfortunate that the slow progress in achieving these goals so far is reminiscent of another important target, which was many years ago. We are already in a way means 8 years away from being 2030, and there are some serious concerns about the achievement of these goals with that. Now, quite interesting. The US Constitution required that a population count be conducted at the beginning of every decade. And this has been happening since the year 1790. And as the country grew, each new census required greater effort than the last one, not merely in collecting the data, but also to compile it into a usable form. So for the processing of 1880 data, it was realized that it was nowhere near completion until we reached 1888. And it was then that a new technology of Hollerith punch cards, I don't know how many of you remember that thing, but maybe Dr. Nelly may be knowing about those punch cards because she might have worked on the computers in the early 70s.
I confess, I do. I worked with them. Yes.
Yeah, those are quite interesting things. You know exactly means which punch would lead to what kind of action from there. So those things, and then they were introduced, and the counting then proceeded so rapidly that the work was completed very soon. And interestingly, later on, this evolved into the famous IBM company, the International Business Machines. IBM led the way in perfecting card technology for recording and tabulating large sets of data for a variety of purposes. So the fifth education revolution will be driven by the desire to achieve these SDGs like a goal 4 by its planned target date. So what are the features of education 5.0 as we say from it? The shift of focus from teaching and by educators in an authority-driven and regulated educational system directed by the mandatory education policies. From that to learning by interested and motivated learners who seek experiences and opportunities for lifelong learning. So that is going to be the features of education 5.0. And some of them are like Metaverse. Such experiences and opportunities will be most readily available in Metaverse. And the shift from certificates that depend on performance in monolithic exams like board exams to an on-demand demonstration of cognitive and other intellectual abilities of a person at any time there. Then this accelerated learning means to catch up with the rapid growth and expansion of the frontiers of knowledge. This will facilitate the rapid development of quantum-ready workforce. The computers of today, they are going to be like dinosaurs of Easter years. The things may be changing very soon. Even you must have heard the design of those quantum computers. It doesn't look like computer from any angle. You know, those the cooling tubes and etc. So see, those kind of things they are. And this movement from the fifth education revolution would be driven by the science of learning. So we are shifting from the art of teaching. So far we have been saying that teaching is an art. So it is a shift from art of teaching to the science of learning. And perhaps the youngest science based on advances in neurosciences and a better understanding of artificial general intelligence. So you may be knowing that we classify AI into 3 groups. One is the narrow intelligence, general intelligence, and super intelligence, something like that happens. And this is interesting. Teacherless learning in education 5.0. Professor John Zeman, in his book, The Principles of the Theory of Solids, the Frontiers of Knowledge, means to coin a phrase, are always on the move. And the today's discovery will tomorrow be part of the mental furniture of every research worker. By the end of next week, it will become every course of graduate lectures, and within a month there will be a clamor to have it in the undergraduate curriculum. And next year we believe that it will be seen so commonplace that it may be assumed to be known to every school student, because it is moving so fast. The frontiers of knowledge, they are always on the move. New things keep coming there. And in this situation, this is quite interesting. Story goes by that which attributes to Albert Einstein. The story is told of how Albert Einstein one day gave his students a final examination that was around 1 year old. And in fact, Einstein had given the exact same final examination question paper to the students a year before. And his assistant noted this in a way, the error, and immediately made the famous physicist aware of his mistake. That, sir, are you sure you are giving the old question paper to your students. So Einstein in his jovial mode, looked at the question paper, which was distributed to the students, and answered, yeah, you are right. These are the same questions of the last year, but mind you, the answers have changed. So that's quite interesting. So what we need to do, can we learn fast and faster? And more recently, I think you might have heard of, known about the famous futurist Thomas Frey. He made an important observation that if we continue to insert a teacher in between ourselves and everything that we need to learn, we cannot possibly learn fast enough to meet the demands of the future. For everything, if we have to depend on them. And here, then, these intelligent technologies, how they are helping us. And particularly, the fourth industrial revolution is dominated with technologies like Internet of Things, 3D printing, cloud computing, augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, AI, edge computing, digital twin, blockchain, virtual assistant. So many things are there. And in fact, Gartner, that famous company, predicted that by the year 2030, we would witness major transition in the way that businesses are being transacted. So smart machines, connected devices, natural language processes, cloud technologies are already in use, and they set to be continue growing. Digital technologies have already made the world smaller, and it has transitioned from connected devices to connected humans. This has made easy to analyze big data, and the organizations are now able to use quantified self, like the wearable devices and sensors capturing data on different aspects of our life, like the biological, physical, behavioral aspects. And then we have sensor networks and advanced analytics. UNESCO also indicated that artificial intelligence in education is expected to be worth around $6 billion by maybe just by 2024, maybe next year, and is a great tool to accelerate the progress towards SDG 4, that is the quality education. So there in that, and very recently, means in India, just now it is September, so last month, we celebrated our 76th Independence Day on 15th of August. And general public access to internet began in India on 15th of August 1995, around 27 years back. It was earlier limited to an academic and research community within the project ERNET, that is Education and Research Network. And since then, internet access has grown exponentially. And we are waiting for 5G. So if it is the 5G is going to be there, then what does the future look like? There was a report in 2015 by Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Council. The title was Technology Vision 2035. And it said that schools, colleges, and universities, as currently constituted, will be redundant by 2035. Instead, we will have institutions of learning that are virtual or meta or open in character. Although the actual education needs of different segments of our population would vary enormously based on circumstances and livelihood opportunities, then the certain core targets in the area of education would be critical to achieve. And due attention would be paid to their cognitive development even before informal education begins at the age of 3. All people would have affordable reskilling opportunities to meet the changing requirements of the job market. And in a longer living and aging society, everybody would have access to second careers and lifelong learning. So that there. And again, Sir Anthony Sheldon, in the year 2017, just say 5 years ago, Sir Anthony Sheldon had predicted that by the year 2027, means in a decade, robots and AI will replace human teachers. So will robot replace teachers in the future? Means how does will look like that? And you may be knowing about this famous experiment, the Equal 42. William Gibson in The Economist dated 4th December 2003. The future is already there. I mean, future is already here. It is just not very evenly distributed. And you know, the experiment traditional classrooms dismantle. So it is they promoted it as the atlas of the future, the AI-based teacherless learning system from there. And then we have Metaverse. And you know, it is among the top contenders for the most trending words of the year 2021, just last year. Metaverse offers a parallel virtual universe, opens up a whole new world of economic prospects, from virtual musical events we just when we celebrated birthday of Nelly, we had that dance party and the closing ceremony, opening ceremony. So we have the musical events, the other from there up to the NFT based products, you know, see the canvas. And due to its vast potential, many big technology giants are already taking a leap and entering into the world of metaverse. In fact, if you go to LinkedIn, you might find that nowadays you have a chief metaverse officer, those kind of designations. They are coming up, and people have designated themselves as like that. And this is interesting. Here is Professor Chunju Bai and his colleagues. They very recently proposed that metaverse in medicine, and suggested naming this year 2022 as the year of metaverse in medicine. 3 areas in which metaverse is likely to gain dominance in health industry are surgical operations, mental health, and medical education and training. The UN General Assembly means the 2015 resolution regarding good health and well-being, will be realized most likely with leveraging the metaverse. So the SDG goal number 3, which aims to achieve universal health coverage that seeks equitable access to healthcare services to all men and women, it proposes to end the preventable death of newborns, infants, and children under 5, and end the epidemics. So the potential of metaverse in healthcare or medicine is now well appreciated, but it may take another decade for it being used actively in the hospitals or means implemented in medical practices. Then what we have to do? We have to prepare ourselves for a future with driverless cars. And similarly, taking that analogy, we may be having teacherless learning, or what we may better call as the smart learning. Okay. Dr. Gulshun, one of our colleague from Anadolu University, Turkey, she has been publishing on smart ODL system, smart open and distance learning system. So the learner will all, of course, make this transition relatively easy, as we have bots and recommender systems, which are already part of their environment. But erstwhile educators and teachers will have to make conscious effort to transform to their new roles of mentor, coaches, or cognitive development facilitator. That will be the presumed role. And perhaps in their avatars as entrepreneurs, for which we need to focus on these aspects, like developing foresight. All of us must learn to anticipate the future. Nobody knows what is going to happen. We need to be able to predict that. And something like this, all the sports person who play cricket or football or tennis, for example, they have to guess, and that too successfully, where the ball is headed. When you play football. So if you want to put that into the goal, you need to know that if you kick it in such a way, where it will head. Foresight is the secret ingredient of all successes, because without foresight, we cannot prepare for the future. and then avoiding natural stupidity. So this is the literal opposite of artificial intelligence is natural stupidity. And you would be surprised by its pervasiveness. Even if we may not have the help of AI technologies to empower ourselves, we could improve significantly our lives if we could cut down on, at least we can avoid natural stupidity if we can't take the help of AI. That is the point. And then the ideas, their creations and their spread. Because we believe that we have evolved from when we were in the older time, the hunter-gatherers, or then shifted to agricultural, shifted to industrial, and then to the post-industrial society, which was driven by creativity, innovations, entrepreneurship, and ideas are the currency of such a society. So we were not only born learners, but naturally curious with a lot of questions. The growing up process requires that we stop questioning and accepting the various authorities. So then Metaverse, let us come to about it. And many people, they define it as the 3D based virtual reality in which daily activities and the economic life are conducted through avatars representing the real themselves. It is a world in which virtual and reality interact and co-evolve, and social, economic, cultural activities are carried out into create the values from there. So that goes with that. Just a minute. So, okay. And this implies that Metaverse does not simply combine the physical and virtual worlds. It is instead a continuity of the physical world in the virtual world to create an ecosystem that merges both worlds, the physical as well as the virtual. Now, based on the idea that Metaverse is an ecosystem and emphasizing its scope, we can say that Metaverse is not simply a platform developed by one company, implying the usual constraints of monopolization, but rather a new plane of existence, not just void of control by any single corporation, but also free from incursions by any state entity or government. And we can differentiate with the metaverse from augmented reality or virtual reality in, say, 3 features: shared, persistent, and decentralized. Now, if you see, the AR and VR could be used in metaverse with other elements beside experiencing time and implementing of AI technologies. Therefore, metaverse provides the possibilities of immersive experience, collaborations, and interaction that supports developing social experience, allowing parallel worlds to emerge from there. Now, if you want to develop, how to build. Developing metaverse requires 3 stages. Digital twins, where digital models and representations of the physical world can be created. Digital twins are basically virtual replicas of physical environments that are synchronously used. The second is individuals with high digital competencies, which require people to have expertise in technology to manage and work in digital environments. That is the another requirement. And the third requirement is coexistence of physical virtual, which implies merging and connecting the virtual and physical environment that is there. This is interesting. Just yesterday, I was in the Central Institute of Education Technology, which is a unit of National Council for Educational Research and Training in New Delhi. And there is this virtual reality lab. And I experienced 2 applications there. This is the yesterday's photograph. One was to explain to the students how, with the process of photosynthesis, the plants, they take carbon dioxide and nutrients from CO2 from air and other like water from through roots from the soil, and convert it into food for themselves, and in turn give the oxygen back to us. It was wonderful. And the another one was I was able to go to International Space Station. So, and really means I would like to caution if someone wants to try these head-mounted devices. If you are experiencing any application in which you are going up and then coming down towards Earth or something, and if you are suffering from vertigo or you have that, then be very careful. Don't do it for a long time, otherwise you will feel dizziness or something. So I could see the Earth, beautiful Earth, our beautiful planet, green planet from ISS, and I met the astronaut Kalpana Chawla there. She was demonstrating some experiments on how. That was a very unique, experience of having those things. In education, metaverse is also not a new concept, as many researchers and educators, they have already discussed its implications for learning. And in fact, here in our platform, with the help of Dr. Nelly and our good friend Doris, we have been witnessing that how to combine metaverse through the use of a virtual world called Second Life. I think some of you may be right now in Second Life, although it is being live, streamed on YouTube as well. But here, with learning management systems on Moodle to enhance the learning process. So see the combination. Credit goes to Dr. Nelly and Doris and our other friends there. We have our own Chilbo headquarters and offering the courses using Moodle. So the content is also available on learning management system, which is one of the most lovable open source software. Some education technologists, while focusing on virtuality dimension, they argue that metaverse can be the next space where individuals can meet and socially interact, requiring higher education to be proactive for using it for teaching and learning purposes. And they also argue that the 3D digital virtual world offers interaction and communication by using avatar, which reflects on the feelings of presence. So we have our own avatars, and you can create quite funny, serious looking avatars, and those things, they can go there. So, but it creates that sort of the feeling of presence. And interestingly, in 2006, a summit at the Stanford Research Institute International that summit was held to draw a roadmap for the future of metaverse technology. So academics from different domains, technology architects, entrepreneurs, and futurists, they took part to envision and forecast a 10-year plan about how internet would look in the future. You can make a Google search on Metaverse Roadmap Summit 2006. According to the Roadmap Summit, there are 4 categories of metaverse technologies, like augmented reality, live logging, and then mirror worlds and virtual worlds. The 4 categories are characterized by 2 axes: augmentation versus simulation, means A versus S, and external versus intimate. For the augmentation technology, a new visual function is added to existing environment by superimposing digital information on the physical world that we perceive. Just a minute. Okay. So, and in contrast, the simulation technology generates and manipulates models of the existing physical environment and creates virtual interactions and experiences. So the other division deals with external and internal worlds. For the external world, technology focuses on the user's external environment by displaying information about the surroundings and how to control them. And on the other hand, the intimate world uses technology that focuses on the identity and behavior of individuals or objects by creating inner worlds of avatars and digital profiles where we have, agency in the digital environment. And the results of the integration of these two axes produced 4 types of metaverse. In the augmented reality metaverse, the technology features building smart environments that are based on location networks. You must have seen like Pokemon Go, that game. For life logging metaverse, the technology features recording everyday information about people or object using AR technology, say like for Facebook or for Instagram. In Mirrorverse metaverse, the technology builds virtual maps and models using GPS technology or apps. And I think most of us, almost all of us, we use Google Maps, or like this is my favorite, Google Earth. Because when I was in Guyana, I used to live in a way the most, you can say, safe place, because my house was in the corner of L-shaped surroundings. The US Embassy was just opposite to the gate of my home, and every 24-hour security, and the smaller side was Canadian Embassy. So the people used to tell me that you are lucky to have, staying in such a most secure place. It was in Guyana when I was there. And now since I'm back, sometimes I use Google Earth to go see that house where I used to live. So that technology. And the virtual world metaverse, here the technology is based on avatars interacting virtually and reflecting different personas. So that's an interesting matter. So immersive technologies and the advent of these, including virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, and extended realities. It has further promoted metaverse in several educational applications. And one of the advantages is enabling students to attend their classes virtually, providing elements that are involved in real classroom. And students in metaverse can interact with teachers and communicate with classmates simply through their avatars. This can create an immersive learning opportunity that enhances the students' learning motivation. So now come to metaverse, the technology with blessings. And metaverse is not a new technology, yet a technology that is reincarnated many times in the past 2 decades. And as a result of the capacity increase in technology, it is here again with many blessings and curses. For instance, we have realized that many researchers or the scholars, they are lured by the possibilities emerging with the metaverse and paid less attention to the threats it presents. Currently its popularity is driven by the investments made by big technology companies. So, the Facebook announces that we are changing our name to Meta, or everybody starts talking about it. So the investment made by big technology companies. And this necessitates approaching with caution, such as the initiative may lead to many threats in educational landscape. And though in the recent history, it is still a technology in its infancy, and it still has many vulnerabilities. For instance, how will users' security and privacy be ensured? What is the business model for a virtual space that generates mass volume of data? What are the moral and ethical principles for AI-powered algorithm-driven space? What are the expected social and physiological impact of the metaverse, a space that blurs the boundaries of physical and virtual world? So in short, before finding answers to some of these critical questions, we need to investigate the blessings of metaverse so that we can refrain from its curses, and students in the educational landscape are not lost in these immersive and imaginary spaces. And besides, it is seen that metaverse in education is built around emerging technologies, which could be a blessing technologies for those universities or schools with advanced infrastructure. But then it could again be also a curse for those who suffer from the provided infrastructure, especially in developing countries. Therefore, it is important to look into how metaverse could be designed to be inclusive and accessible to all students. And hence, one of the strategies to contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is particularly the SDG 4, which is about quality education. So now I would conclude as Metaverse or Metaverse. As we know that Metaverse in education, it's still in its infancy, which means that there will be many blessings or curses. Metaphorically, as in the case of the rush to the gold in the Wild West. Now there is a rush to the meta gold, which implies that we should approach with caution due to the wide range of regions. Again, as you may remember, as in the discovery of American continent, Metaverse has many potentials which motivate many investors to colonize it, use it for profit purposes, and build new communities where they can exploit them. If that is the case, we should critically ask ourselves that how will we position the teaching and learning? Besides, there are other critical questions to ask. For example, under the influence of ed tech companies, how will we grant agency and empower our learners? How will we protect them in an algorithm-driven space? Is it a free new virtual world? Or is it a virtual world where we all are chained with digital handcuffs? Perhaps we should think twice before logging in the metaverse to query if we sacrifice anything. Are we certain about that the metaverse is a product and we are the users? Or we are the products and metaverse is a user that mines and benefits from the UGC, user-generated content? Will it be open to only human users, or will there be many meta bots that manipulate us, manipulate humans from there? And are we all well prepared for cyber syndromes in such virtual worlds due to being isolated from the reality in the physical world? If we are planning to use synthetic metaverse for teaching and learning purpose, and do we have a strategy agenda to humanize such processes? In fact, this humanization of education, it has been a serious concern by Sir Anthony Sheldon also, who said that we need to be very careful when we use AI in that space. So in all, there are still many critical questions to ask before we fully jump in and immerse to metaverse, because if we are tempted by the novelty effect of the metaverse, we all might be nothing but a metaverse, the second metaverse, METAWORSE. So with this, I pause here. I hope I finished my presentation well within the time. Thank you so much. Over to you, Nelly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramesh. You've given us such an amazing outlook on what came before, what is currently happening, and maybe a glimpse of what's going to happen in the future. I'm going to let everyone unmute themselves so that they get a chance to speak without their webcams. No need for that. But feel free to unmute, ask questions, add your comments. To what you heard, what went through your mind as you heard it. I did write a chat post there about Facebook, and somebody responded to that it's despicable, and illogical. And I think the illogical is really how I feel about it. I don't see the point of changing all the pages on Facebook. If you have a page on Facebook, and I've got quite a few pages like Moodle for Teachers, and they're all to share free information. I just thought, the difference between Facebook pages and Facebook groups, in the past, was relevant. But now all your pages, you now have a profile for each page under Meta, and it's a business.
Yes.
Do you have pages, Ramesh? It's a business.
Actually,
They turned me into a business person, which I'm not.
You see, they control Instagram, they control WhatsApp, they control Facebook. So, you know, it's like a, what we call as anaconda. You know, it's going to
Eat us up, devour us. No, but the thing is not the fact that they own so much, but the fact that they can all of a sudden decide that you are, and ask me if I want, give me a choice. Do you want to, do you want to be part of this business idea, or do you want to stay with the old way? But no, they just changed your status, and that's it. So, when you say metaverse or metaworse, that's, I think, the first step in what's happening. And what I'm concerned about is that, education is education. I mean, schools are behind, whether it's the K-12, where I'm not sure we need that much technology. I think that COVID taught us that we need the face-to-face for young learners, especially. But even universities, when I get students from a teacher's college who are going to be English teachers in the future, and they don't want to use Moodle, and they just want to write, they want to hand me papers. And these are under 30 students who want to hand me printed copies of their academic writing. How in the world what am I going to do? I'm going to write. I haven't written in years. I don't even know how to write. I mean, I know how to write, but not on paper. I don't use paper anymore. I text everything. I use keyboards. I use, how in the world am I going to correct their papers? And what, I'm going to mess it up with marks? I mean, who's going to look at it? What's the value of doing it that way? So, yeah, it's crazy. And I was given an ultimatum from one teacher's college saying, Nellie, if you want to go on, you have to forget this. You have to do whatever they want you to. You have to go backwards. I said, okay, goodbye. And I left. So, students aren't ready for this. They don't want it. In most cases, they just give me a grade and leave me alone. They're not interested in technology for learning. They're interested in technology for business and other things, but don't mix the two, and this has been going on for years in the Western world. I don't know what's happening in other parts of the world. I think that they're more open to, and they want to advance, but in education, they, just leave me alone. Let me just get my scores, my exams. Let me do the exams. I don't have to come. I don't want to come. And that's it. So do you really think that this is going to have a huge impact on education in schools, at universities? Really?
Yeah.
And what about different parts of, say, India, for example? They don't have the infrastructure. They don't even have it in Europe. They don't have it in the United States everywhere. I mean, some students don't have internet connection the way we think they do.
Yeah. But then we need to, like mobile phones, they have become ubiquitous. So those kind of packages and applications, they can be designed that if you don't have, say, like a computing device, which is more powerful, but then the content can be mobile based in that, because almost everyone, they have the.
Yes, they do, Ramesh. And I've been using mobile instead of computers in my classroom for years. But you know what the problem is? They come to class and, they say, I'm not going to install that. I don't have room to install this kind of learning apps.
I agree with that.
Or, oh, I'm sorry, my phone just ran out of juice. I don't, I need to, or my internet stopped because well, I'm not going to waste my battery on this, or, right?
You will laugh at it. Let me tell you one interesting story. When I was in Wawasan Open University, Malaysia, I had created a customized Moodle app for the university. And now when I wanted to give the demonstration, I want to name one of my colleagues, and you will be happy to know that she has attended long back, maybe 1 decade ago now, a Moodle training which you and me together we conducted. She told me when I joined that university that Dr. Ramesh, I had attended a Moodle workshop which was conducted by Dr. Nelly and you. I oh okay, you have been my student. So when I told them that oh, okay, look, this is the app, she said that I don't want to install. You just show it to me on your own mobile phone. And that was very funny. So I agree with that can happen.
Yeah, it happens. So that's what I'm saying. We're moving forward. We're speaking, we're preaching to the choir, but there are lots of issues. It's not happening in education. It's happening everywhere else. It's happening with maybe adult people who are interested in business and want to learn how to do things and want to advance, but not for the public, or as far as I've been seeing for the past, it's been over 20 years. It's almost 30 years since I've been using the internet for learning.
Yes.
Let's see what other comments are here. Sherry says, I urge folks to find and share other opportunities than Facebook Meta. They have always been invasive. You're right, definitely.
Certainly.
Yep.
In fact, they have become, even after the introduction of GDPR by European Union, now they have found another way. If you don't agree, then you can't install that. So, it's still the arm twisting is there. I have to go. Okay, Sandra, thank you so much. This slide with the Metaworse.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? The Roadmap Summit, Ramesh, is really amazing. I added the link. I'll add it again for those who missed it. It has a lot of really valuable, interesting information.
Yeah.
And yes, Dr. Anju says, Gandhi says, they controlled our whole life. Yes, they have. They made huge
we
impact.
allowed them to use our.
We allowed them. Yeah, but we didn't really think. A lot of people left Facebook. A lot of academics left Facebook. Young people don't join Facebook. My children left Facebook. Younger generations don't even bother getting a Facebook account. So I don't know, I don't know how they're going to survive. Hopefully they won't. But everybody's using WhatsApp. That is a very popular app.
Yeah.
I think
that gives access to the mobile data, which is more serious. Dangerous.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And with wonderful suggestion.
And virtual worlds, I looked at Facebook and what they're doing with VR and the Oculus, and now Ray-Ban has also joined forces. Ray-Ban, would you? I mean, that's their biggest business now, is Meta, special glasses, an Oculus Quest.
Google was trying to bring its the Google Glass version 2, but somehow the version was could not be get that popularity, so they wind up that project. But after some time now they're trying to make it the next version of that Google Glass 2. So let's see what happens.
But who's buying it? Who's buying? They've got lots of, who's buying? Who's?
Do you know? People are busy in head-mounted devices, not the glass.
No, but I think the Ray-Bans seem a lot better. I mean, what they're developing, what Google is developing now, is going to be amazing with the instantaneous translations in their glasses.
Yes,
that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And Apple is also coming up with something. I don't know what they're coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think we've got 2 more minutes until the hour. Any questions or comments? I don't see any question marks.
So thank you so much, friends, for your goodwill and good comments. So, okay, Nelly, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, for this presentation. Feel free to start a conversation, a dialogue. Any
Yes.
questions or ideas that come to mind on the Moodle?
On the Moodle, yes.
Yeah, that's where you can ask a question or start a discussion on a topic.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone. See you later on for a play if you're around.
Yeah.
It's going to be late, I think, for the Far East. But for those that are still awake, join us for a play in about, I don't know, 10 hours or so. Bye for now. Thank you.